Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are back in the Amagi. And we're on Shatter. So on the enemy team you're going to notice somebody that maybe sticks out, or maybe they don't. But Airsoft Alphonse is in the USS Missouri, aka Mighty Mo on the enemy team. So we got to keep an eye out for him. But this match is going to be crazy, folks. So hopefully you guys are ready. This one's going to be a good one. Also, don't forget, we are on the path to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We are so close, everybody. But we're also very close to the end of the year. So if you guys enjoy what I put out, make sure you guys punch that like button. Share it with your friends, your family that also might be interested in this. And hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And we'll be there before you know it. Now, the Amagi is a ship that I have always said is a tale of two ships. It can either be extremely good or it can be extremely annoying. There's not a whole lot of in between with the Amagi. But when this ship is working as intended, this ship is absolutely nasty. And we're going to push out to the left side early on. We're going to try to get some crossfires rolling. You guys know the deal. We spawned on the outside edge, so first things first, we are going to take probably the worst shot you'll ever see on the mines. I hate that my rear guns didn't fire at the same time, but honestly, the shells were nowhere near. He sped up right after I shot, so didn't matter. We end up missing completely. Now, Airsoft gets spotted in the Missouri right here in the middle gap, so we're going to turn out, make sure we take as little damage as possible. That was actually the Peter bag that shot at us. But as Airsoft is kind of just chilling, I look at the mines again thinking I was maybe going to get a shot, but you can see he's right on the edge of my range, so I'm like, okay, well, we'll take the easy chip damage. We'll go for superstructure on Airsoft over here, aiming high towards the middle of the ship, trying to get as many shots into the superstructure as possible. Now, I do believe I'm running Arthas on this build, so you'll see me use the catapult fighter here for a little bit of extra damage. For those of you who don't know, Arthas the Cold is a Warhammer commander. His inspiration is while a catapult fighter is up, you multiply your damage by 20%. Or you add an additional 20%, not multiply. You add an additional 20% of damage to your damage done by mains, secondaries, torpedoes, that sort of thing. So we get a pretty solid hit on Airsoft there for 13k. Now I'm looking in the middle of the map. We've got a North Carolina who's rushing forward blindly. We use auto aim here because I can't see him, unfortunately. We can't really look over the mountain. But I'm hoping to get a good salvo here, and we do get a little bit of damage, but honestly, this is one of the frustrating parts of the Amagi. Like, you just end up hitting, like, one shell. Like, it happens so often. It's like, okay, looks like it's going to be a good salvo, you take the shot, and you hit one shell. And it's just like, it's obnoxious. It really is. But here we get a shot out. Our Colorado's already dead because he just threw himself into the middle of the map and said, please kill me as quickly as possible. We get a very nice chunk out of the North Carolina. Unfortunately, did not get the Citadel, which is really unfortunate. But he is angled slightly to us. And remember, the North Carolina actually has a little bit of belt armor, and whereas the Florida doesn't. The Florida doesn't get that belt armor. But notice that there's two cruisers off my bow. You got Airsoft out there in the gap, but he's out of range, so we don't have to worry about him necessarily. I'm thinking, okay, maybe I can sneak a shot on this Peter bag as he goes behind the island. And obviously this is a rushed shot, but it's one of those opportunities where maybe you get away with catching somebody as they're turning to go behind the island. And unfortunately, I don't think I hit him. But it was you miss all the shots you don't take. I say this all the time. Like, you miss all the shots you don't take. And so catching a cruiser turning towards you is an easy way to potentially depth strike them. Here we have the King George pushing mid, but he's kind of turning away from us. So we aim a little bit high using auto aim here, and we're going to get a pretty solid salvo. We do use our catapult fighter again to get a little bit of extra damage. Unfortunately, we only land 3 shells, which is just textbook Amagi. Like I said, this ship is a tale of two ships. It can be so good, but it can also be so troll. Now here, watch what happens next. Now, a lot of people will see this and they'll go, well, Spartan, your shells all fell short. The guy is right on the edge of my range as I fire this, and he's moving away from us, meaning my shells are never going to reach him. Same situation would have happened with the mines earlier when I could have targeted the mines and fired. It's not going to help me in that situation because I don't have the range to physically shoot him. If they're moving away and they're on the edge of your range, you're not going to hit those shells. So, shocker, we don't manage to hit them. Peter Bag is about to come forward, so we're hoping to get the rear guns around the island. We do get a couple of shells around the island, but as per usual, we land one shell. And like I said, this is just textbook Amagi. Like, you're just waiting for the Amagi to wake the fuck up. Like, it can be so frustrating to play the Amagi at times because you know what can happen if this thing gets on a roll. And then time and time and time again, you'll just watch the shells do everything they have to avoid hitting the thing you're aiming at. Now here, I was looking for a good salvo, and we do land some shells, but they don't really do a whole lot. 6,000 damage, a couple of one overpin, a couple of penetrations, did not do a whole lot of damage. Fortunately, Z23 manages to torp the Peter Bag, and now we are going to start to turn away. Now, a long time ago, the Amagi was nerfed, and the way they nerfed it is they changed its rudder shift. The Amagi used to be really, really good at the Dreadnought Shuffle because it had a decent speed on its rudder, and that allowed it to get full broadsides away, which is 10 guns of really good armor piercing, right? But they nerfed that. They gave it a little bit more main gun accuracy, which honestly, you don't notice the main gun accuracy all that often because, for the most part, the Amagi is always going to be inconsistent. Yes, it can absolutely shred, but it's also very, very inconsistent. It doesn't do it every salvo, doesn't do it every game. A lot of times you'll just get a lot of frustration and disappointment out of the Amagi. That's why I've always said it's a tale of two ships. But Mines is actually doing a really good job here, trying to stay behind the island, keep me from being able to engage him. I'm also paying attention to where Airsoft Alphonse was last spotted. You can see he was last spotted behind the island to my north, so I know he's probably moving towards me at this point. Now, we do get spotted by the Mines' plane here, but I don't really want to shoot the Mines unless I get a really good angle. Because if I shoot, then he just gets to sit there and do whatever he wants, right? Now, as I'm coming around this corner, I'm thinking, okay, I could shoot him or I could just start to close and look at the Fletcher coming out of the middle. Now, who's the priority target? A cruiser who's nowhere near an objective, never going to be an issue for the team, or a destroyer who's right in the middle of the map, potentially able to help his team win the match. So I choose to go for the destroyer. You can see I am using auto aim here. You'll see me aim in it several times to try to adjust. And I normally adjust a little bit ahead of the auto aim, but this time I didn't, and I'm going to pay for it because I'm not going to land even a single shell on this Fletcher, which is real unfortunate because I actually use a plane as well. But fortunately, our cruiser comes around the middle, and he's the one tearing this Fletcher apart. I don't remember what cruiser that is, but it's doing a really good job of tearing him apart. Now, look at RZ that's right next to me. This guy he torped the Peter Bag, and then started to shoot at the mines in open water, which is crazy. And then he just kind of pulls behind me, goes and does his best carrier impersonation, and sits still for several moments. And so I'm like, okay, well, could you please go out and spot something for me? And you'll see I actually jump into chat, which I don't do very often, but I legitimately was like, dude, I need you to go out and spot, do something, help me out here. I'm the only one on this side of the map. I need some support. So you'll see I'm looking at him, you'll see me actually go in, here's where I put it in the thing, and I'm just like, dude, I need you to spot, do something here, help me out. And I don't get any sort of response from him, but he does at least start moving, so I'm like, okay, maybe he had to go to the bathroom or something in the middle of the game. Who knows? Who knows why people go AFK at times? But when you only have a single destroyer and the game is as close as it is, yes, we have a two cap lead right now, our 2-cap advantage. But what happens next can only be considered an absolute travesty, right? Now, this first shot is on me. This guy actually does the right thing. He starts to come out. He knows he's over-angled. I could absolutely yeet him. I rush the shot. I over-lead. He slows down. And so we're going to hit the bow of a ship and overpin. Perfectly fine. We expect that. 3 overpins for next to no damage, right? However, we know that Airsoft is there as well, so we're going to try to maintain our angle. Mine starts shooting at us. He fortunately misses us, which is rare. But this next shot should be Dev Strike City every single time. There is no reason that a cruiser should get away with this. Full broadside gets away with a single Citadel. 4 overpins on the waterline of a freaking cruiser at 9 kilometers. That's unbelievably unfortunate. But again, You play with fire, you play with RNG enough, eventually it's gonna bite you, right? It doesn't matter how lucky you are. Eventually, RNG will catch up to you. Now here, we take a shot at Airsoft's superstructure, and it looked like it was going to be really good, and then it just does the Amagi thing of just spreading out at the last second and doing basically nothing. And at this point, I'm getting pretty frustrated with my Amagi, because I know that the game is falling away. Like, this game is still going in our favor, because we have the cap advantage, and if we can take out a couple of ships here, that's going to be huge. Now, Mines makes a huge misplay here. Once again, testing fate. Broadside and begging for it, and finally we actually get to take him down here. Now at this point I'm paying attention to the map. I know I got a cruiser to the south. If that cruiser stays alive, we have a chance. If the destroyer doesn't get himself killed, we have a chance. And now Airsoft is all by himself out here. I've got to try to push forward on Airsoft, get him out of the game, and then get ready to fight the battleships as soon as possible. Look at what the battleships are doing on the map right now. So one battleship is right on the edge of the island, the other battleship is heading that direction, and the cruiser is heading that direction. I get a good shot here at the superstructure, and once again, I get 3 overpins, didn't really amount to a whole lot. Unfortunately, our Cleveland goes down to the secondaries of the Atlantico. So we know there's an Atlantico, we know there's an Iowa, we know there's a Missouri, and we know that there is a Indianapolis. So in this situation, my goal is to just try to take out as many as possible. Now here, I'm not going to lie, I get caught turning out perfectly by Airsoft. I got very lucky to not be Citadel through the bow side plating there, but finally we get a decent chunk out of his superstructure, and the secondaries start doing what they do, which is set fires. This thing has a lot of casemate secondaries. They're pretty sizable secondaries, and they have a good fire chance. So that is the one good thing about brawling. Also, the Amagi has a slight turtleback armor scheme. If you've never noticed that before, it's something that will actually save your bacon up close and personal with other battleships. It's not quite as good as the Germans, but here we get a nasty salvo into his superstructure, and then I see the torpedoes, and I'm like, uh-oh, I think the Z actually got him here. We pick up our high cal, and there's the torpedo strike. So Z coming in clutch, helping me get rid of Airsoft. That, getting rid of him quickly was huge, because now we got to double back. We got to get ready to fight the 2 battleships and the cruiser, right? So we've got the guns on the left side of the boat. Rather than trying to switch them back, we're just going to continue this turn, try to come all the way back around. Now what you're going to see is that the enemy actually plays pretty smart here. They go into the cap, right? Makes sense. You're down on points. You need points to try to win, right? So they have to get the cap, and they have to get the cap quickly. Fortunately for us, one of their battleships went towards the middle and then ends up coming out the inside channel. Their other battleship, unfortunately, goes all the way out to the outside edge. And then their cruiser is the one that ends up getting into the cap. Now, I was expecting everybody to be out here on the edge, and then you'll see as soon as I see that the cap is being capped, I'm like, okay, well now I got to turn in. And this is one of those scenarios where the nerf to the Amagi's steering is absolutely brutal. It's brutal, man. I really, really need steering in this situation, because I need to be able to get as many guns on target as quickly as possible to try to flip this in our favor. I was damaged. I'm assuming that the Atlantico has been damaged. I have not even seen the Indianapolis, but we get 9,500 with just the front guns, and that's exactly what I'm talking about with the Amagi. Like, how many full broadsides did we unleash into the superstructure of Airsoft for 3 hits for like no damage, and we fire just the front 2 guns, which is 4 whole shells, we hit every single shell and do like 10k damage. Like, that is the Amagi at its finest right there. It's just like, it is a tale of 2 ships. It will either be incredibly powerful or be incredibly obnoxious, and there's a perfect example of RNG giveth and RNG taketh. So we go from railguns 1 salvo to not even hitting him with the next salvo. He lands 1 shot, and you can see we are actually being shot at with a secondary or a cruiser from the B-cap. Now, I go ahead and assume that the other battleship went to the inside with the cruiser, so I'm turning towards the cruiser here. As much as I wanted to shoot the cruiser in this situation, I thought, okay, if I hit the Iowa really good here, and we do get a really good salvo into the superstructure, I was like, he's going to eat a torp, he's going to die. Now the Atlantico comes out from between the island. He's actually going to do the right thing. He's going to turn towards me. Unfortunately, here I needed to try to avoid a ram, right? Like, I didn't want to ram. Turns out I could have just rammed, and we'd have won this game. But I didn't think about that. Like, I was only thinking, I need to survive, I need to try to kill this Atlantico, so I need to try to go for a broadside. Unfortunately, the turrets on this thing don't turn very quickly, and because I'm turning away, that slow rudder shift is going to bite me right in the butt. So we avoid a ram, we get around, and look how long it takes me to turn this ship all the way back. I have been full hard rudder to the starboard this whole time, and then I have to settle for shooting the Iowa because I knew he was going to blast me. So like, there's no chance I could shoot the Atlantico here. I knew I was going to die, so I had to take somebody with me. I had to trade. Our Z is actually playing very, very, very dangerously here. We do have the lead. There's only 10 seconds left. It's going to come down to the wire. And if that guy had died to secondaries from the Atlantico because he started shooting at the Atlantico, that would have been incredibly unfortunate. But you may not have noticed, but right at the end of the game, we won by like 4 points. It was that close. It was actually a fun game, but it was incredibly frustrating at times with the RNG we were getting. But top of the leaderboard, 2,797 or 96 base XP with 2 kills and a high cal. The only medal on my team. So let me know what you guys think. Did you enjoy this one as much as I do? I love the games that come down to the wire. I can't stand raffle stomps. So when you get these games that like legitimately go the entire distance and could go either way in the last seconds of the match, those are the most fun for me. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. And if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.